The motto, the theme for today's conference does not come from Tim Cook at Apple, does not come from Larry Page at Google, does not come from Steve Ballmer at Microsoft. It comes from the great Stevie Wonder of Detroit. The theme for today's conference is, I just called to say I love you. What defines love? Togetherness. That's why we have you in the round. The challenges we see ahead for the mobile industry and all the things that we're working on at IAB actually involve togetherness. Mobile, if I can quote our former chairperson, Wenda Millard, the challenge for the mobile marketplace and for mobile providers and everybody in the mobile ecosystem is to think of themselves as not being apart from, but being a part of. You know, we just got back, we took our agency advisory board, 20 of the topmost agency creatives in the United States, and some very, very creative strategic thinkers at a handful of media agencies as well. We just took them on a 4-day trip out to Silicon Valley. We had terrific stops at Twitter, spent a whole day at Facebook, and then spent the better part of a day at the venture capital firm Kleiner Perkins and at Stanford. And it was very, very striking the degree to which mobile and mobility is now at the center of every company's strategy. But equally striking, I thought, was the degree to which so many of them were thinking of mobile as something very, very, very distinct. And I just kept feeling through this entire trip that the growth of the mobile marketplace and the continued growth of the interactive advertising and marketing marketplace overall is going to come more from thinking holistically rather than thinking of everything we do in separate piece parts. Let me give you an example of how this challenge works in kind of the real world. There actually is no definition, no consensus working definition in our industry, or in industry anywhere, of mobility. Now think about that for a bit, because when you think about it, I think in your heads, each of you has a definition of mobile. It's kind of, you know it when you see it. But in fact, it's really, really difficult to make these distinctions for real. And it's come up quite a lot recently in the IAB's Chief Financial Officers Council. It's where the CFOs of our member companies gather to discuss their common challenges. The lack of a definition of mobility actually hinders their ability to do revenue recognition and to do honest apples-to-apples comparisons within their own companies about how various component parts are working, and also hinders their ability to do comparisons with other companies. So you say, this should be an easy deal to figure out what the definition of mobility is. It's not so easy. Think about this challenge as you kind of dwell on how you would answer the question. How many of you would say that tablets are mobile devices? Okay, it's pretty much everybody in the room. How many of you would say that a tablet is a mobile device because of the device itself, the form factor of the device? I know it's getting harder here. How many of you would say it's a mobile device because of the network that it's on? Okay. So how many of you would say, I'm kind of diving a little deeper here, how many of you would say that an iPad on a 3G network is a mobile device? Most of you. How many of you would say that an iPad on a Wi-Fi network is by definition a mobile device? Okay, pretty much everybody. How many of you would say that an untethered laptop on a Wi-Fi network is a mobile device? 1, 2. It gets a little funky here, because if a tablet on a Wi-Fi network is mobile, even if it's being used, say, in your den or your living room, and a laptop is not, well, you start to see some of the challenges, because then by definition you seem to be saying that it's the form factor alone, when maybe it ought to be defined by the user experience, or maybe it ought to be defined in other ways. I'm mentioning all this because this is one of the many, many challenges that we're trying to deal with at the IAB in the Mobile Marketing Center of Excellence, but also across other units that we have in the IAB, like our CFO Council. What we try and do at the IAB is to bring all the thinking together as much as possible to solve the major challenges that the industry is faced and to try and derive consensus that will help us move forward.